Anything on anybody's mind?
Well, the first comment I had that I already told Amy, having the minutes of the vestry meeting now given to the congregation, I think is very, very good.
Good.
That way, you know what's going on. No,
I've always felt bad about how minutes get published. You all have served on boards, you know this, they get published a month late. They have to be approved before they can be published. So it does feel like they're late, but there's no reason. I don't know how to get around that.
Well, and one thing I love, this is from that side. Oh, outside when I came the other day, they were working on putting in all of the new shrubs, and this is fabulous.
I'm trying to think about how to talk about that. So this is what I think really needs to be said, which is that the generosity not only of the donor, but also of Piano himself. I mean, Piano himself was here planting plants and cleaning up the garden. Speak to not only the generosity of the community that we share, but also an authentic love for this place and for God. The gifts coming to us as a result of events that happen this weekend, yes, of course, they serve a particular purpose. They also, though, part of that particular purpose is the love that they have for this community and this place and the way that they are drawn close to God here, and as a way of giving back in gratitude for that experience, for that love, for that experience of the divine.
Everything begins in the garden.
Yeah, right.
So, have you seen how the garden grows on Broadway? Yes. Oh, yes. Yesterday when I came to see what was going on down here, I walked up there and oh my gosh. So now tell me, are people going to walk up and
I hope so.
Or what else is
Good morning, Beth. I hope so. Here's where we are. The garden committee is now meeting. Are you there? Who's there?
What?
No, our circle is there. The garden committee is meeting, I want to say the first Wednesday of the month.
Yes.
At 4:30?
Yes.
Great. We have 3 first steps. I can only remember the first one off the top of my head. And that is that once the irrigation system is fully put together, which Brandon Chapman, who's the farmer for the Arkansas Hunger Relief Alliance, once he's able to get the irrigation system truly working, then our crew will learn to be the water brigade, which essentially means that Monday through Friday, when Christy is here, Poindexter, she will be the one who turns the irrigation system on and turns it off because she's over there, because we have ESEP classrooms over there now. But on the weekends and then on days when she's not here, we need a rotating volunteer crew who can come in, turn it on, wait, 30 minutes and turn it off. And maybe while they're in that waiting period, they can harvest plants. Weed.
That's
Right.
what I caught myself doing.
Exactly. So then once that volunteer crew gets going and we start having a harvest, the first beneficiaries of the harvest will be this community. So we will bring the harvest, we'll bring the harvest over here to Morrison. We'll have a table set up. We will lay out the harvest. Anybody who wants to take from the harvest are more than welcome to do so. There'll be a donation basket, which of course will go straight back into the garden. We will also have St. Francis House, the box we have for St. Francis House, they no longer come in empty. So we still collect donations for them, and if things land here, we get them to St. Francis House. But what the staff would like to do is refurbish that box to be not only a box for St. Francis House, but also for the Little Food Pantry. So the Little Food Pantry is new over there. The ones on the corner, they may still be there, but they're going bye-bye. Yeah, they're really bad. So they're going away.
Where's the
It is up on Broadway, and it's handicap accessible, and you can, to the point if you're in a wheelchair, you can come all the way up to the food pantry and get what you need out of it. And there's a picnic table there on the slab where the car used to be. That's where the new food pantry is. And so we'll also have a box, not just a donation bucket for the garden, but we'll have a box for anybody who wants to bring specifics for the little food pantry, and we will get those things over there. It's not terribly easy to get to if you're just dropping things off. Yeah. But for the people who are taking from the food pantry, it is very accessible.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, so it'll be reduced from whatever we put in.
Right. And then it'll be a lot like if you know the one at Pulaski Heights Baptist, which I think is Hope Baptist now. Are both those communities still meeting there, or just the one? Yeah, I don't know.
Grace Hall's meeting there.
What I know is that like at that one, all kinds of people come up and drop things off, and all kinds of people come up and take things away. So, and Vacation Bible School is going to work a little bit. The children are going to work a little bit on some more signage for the Little Food Pantry, like what needs to go in it. But our long-term hope is that we'll also be able to put some of the fresh vegetables that we'll harvest and flowers that we'll harvest into the Little Food Pantry with recipes so that people can learn how to use the fresh food. So I think that's like our immediate thoughts about what happens next with the garden.
Are we gonna knock on the doors and tell the neighbors? How's that word being spread?
I don't have a plan.
Word of mouth.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think it is some of the publicity, and I was driving by one day, and there was a homeless man who said, "Do you know what's going on up there?" And I said, "Yes, sir. We're putting in the garden so people who are on restricted incomes can have fresh vegetables." And he said, "Oh, I love to garden. Can I help?" So, yes, but the word is getting around in the community.
If you tell one person at Paris Towers, everybody will.
That's true. It's very true.
Yeah. But no, he was just going, "You mean I can have a real tomato?" Yes, sir.
Absolutely. There are a few, we're part of the Little Rock Growers. Actually, Christy and I are part of the Little Rock Growers group now. Are y'all part of that? I wonder? No? Okay. So one of their folks came to our first committee meeting. Lee Bash, you guys know Lee? It's Little Rock. I just assume everybody knows one another.
Good morning.
Good morning, Darius. Come in, come in. Where are they going down? Oh, but through that group, there's also a garden. If you go down 17th, it's just a very little one. It's got about 5 slots, right? Not 17th and Arch, whatever. What's the next street? Gaines? No. Gaines? 17th. Yeah. Thank you. Yeah. So at 17th and Gaines, there's a little garden. Bethel has their garden is being enriched and enlarged by a grant. We think that grant is from Sphinx, a group called Sphinx. But that was a toaster. Truman and I have been playing phone tag for about 6 weeks. So I'm not sure that that's where that grant is from. And then also the Dunbar Garden. So there is a long-term hope that those 4 gardens, especially with ours being the 4th one, will work together.
Yes,
It is. And Children's also has another large garden, Children's Hospital. So I want to tell you about a young woman named Heidi. She's going to be around for a while. I don't know starting when, hopefully by the middle of the summer. She's a young woman who's been in discernment at St. Margaret's. And she serves on the vestry there. She's got a year left on the vestry there. She sings in their choir. She's really involved there. She's been in discernment for Holy Orders, and her discernment committee asked her to get to know another community. And so one of her discernment committee members is a member of the cathedral. And so there was just this natural connection. You know, Mary Vano and I are good friends. And so Mary sent her over to us, and Heidi and I met this week. The reason I'm bringing her up now is because she and I just explored all kinds of possibilities of reasons why and ways she can come and engage in ministry at the cathedral. And one of them could be the garden. Heidi currently works at Thompson Library as a program manager over there, so she's got some great program experience. So another place she might be able to link in is into Insights, because she's got that experience of having speakers, and she's got the library experience. But part of discernment is learning and doing other things than what your best gifts are. Discernment's an interesting weaving together of your best gifts and things you've never done before. And so I've asked her to just really take some time and kind of get to know who we are, and then decide the places where she wants to really practice and try things that she knows and new things. So when she's around more often, I'll introduce her to the larger community. We'll have to figure out, she and Mary and I have to figure out how often will she be here on a Sunday, and how often will she be at St. Margaret's on a Sunday. So once all of those kind of details get navigated through, then I'll make sure to introduce her to the whole community. But do look out for her, and I am personally hopeful that an extra set of leadership hands around here that is great is wonderful. Is wonderful.
When does the period start?
Yeah, June 2nd, next Sunday. Who's ready?
Okay. I knew it was coming.
Yeah, he'll be here next Sunday. He will be, he meets with his next step in his process for ordination is to meet with the Commission on Ministry in June. So once that happens, we'll be able, God willing, to announce an ordination date.
Good.
Yeah, to the priesthood. But it'll be nice to have a deacon around for a while again.
Yes.
Yeah.
Amy, can we address pastoral care? It was
Of
sort
course.
of alluded to in the minutes of that vestry meeting, but it was vague.
Yeah. I don't remember what was in the minutes. Do you?
It said, what did it say? It said, we thought about pastoral and more to come or something.
Sure.
More later.
I wonder if that was under Lisa's sub-dean report.
Not sure.
Yeah, so her primary responsibility is pastoral care. I believe that Greg and Marcy are her chairs for a committee. Yeah. Yeah. The way I'm trying to think about how we want to talk about it. So when I arrived, pastoral care was primarily done, it was in COVID. When I arrived, we were in COVID. So the way we had done pastoral care was undoable because we couldn't have volunteers going to people's homes to bring the Eucharist. We could have people going to people's homes, like full stop, but especially to bring the Eucharist. But I think that there was, and that was a huge period of transition for the cathedral because it was Russ and Lisa. Right? Chris had retired. And Deb. But Deb was pretty.
That is here.
Deb was here, and Deb was, because of her own health, was pretty isolated. Susan was around. Stuart was here.
We left the flowers on the front porch.
Yeah,
And that was last year.
and Lisa, there were a few. Lisa and Russ, I think, did a bunch of like front porch visits.
Mm-hmm.
Russ even, I believe, took me on a couple.
Well, I think the rest of us were still doing written letters, notes, cards.
There were,
phone calls.
yep, and there was. So where I'm headed is there was a database that Deb had written that was meant to keep track of, like she'd written the code for it. That was the computer code that was meant to keep track of what everybody was doing. But it was taking all of Deb's time to manage that database, and which was not a good use of her skills in a lot of ways. So, I mean, it was a great use of her skills, but I'm not sure it was very life-giving for her. And Deb pretty much said, like, I don't want to do this anymore. That was a boundary she set. So we found a database called Notebird. And Notebird, we have to pay for users. And so we discerned that the folks who would have access to Notebird would be limited to, we could decide how many people those were going to be, but it wasn't going to be like the other database where, well, I honestly don't know much about it. I'm kind of looking to Sally because I remember Sally's name would show up in my email a lot because of flower delivery. Would you go into that database and say, these are the 10 people?
We would be in a group, that was with the Luke group, and there were.
Oh, that's right, it's the
And so 5 or 6 of us would actually look at a printout. I don't think I ever went into the database.
Okay, so,
Russ or Lisa would print it out,
It was with Russ.
so we know who to visit.
Right. well, and let's just take a moment and just grieve Russ for a second.
Okay.
Because that's really important, I think, to acknowledge that Russ, like, I don't even know, I mean, I feel like I could call him now and be like, in fact, I have reached out to him recently when we had a parishioner who was really ill in Europe. And he was wonderful. I mean, Russ just has this wonderful, because of his person, he's just that's what he does.
Yeah, he had formed 4 different groups that rotated with written information on who had done what the status of the person was. And then you would just
It
rotate.
functioned, I think, very well.
I think it functioned for the teams well. It was not functioning for cathedral staff well.
Well, what about the people who are receiving the pastoral care? Was it functioning for them?
I don't know, was it?
Well, yeah,
It was.
Yeah,
Any
because
contact's better than no contact.
I agree.
we
Yeah.
sent, there were designated people, some sent notes, some sent flowers, some phone calls, I mean,
So what I remember is when we went to the teams and brought the team leaders, you were at that meeting. I remember you being at that meeting. When we went to Notebird, we said we were going to move from this database that Deb had written, and we were going to this new one. There wasn't enthusiasm from the team leaders to move to the new database, but we knew that
the other person, the database was, I'll shut up.
well, we didn't have anybody to manage the old database, is what I'm saying.
Yeah.
that's right.
So we were going to lose the old database no matter what we did. That way of operating was no longer going to work because we didn't have anybody to run it. Which is why we went to the Notebird, because we don't have to do anything to it.
With the old one that Deb made, it was kind of a one-way communication. The information went out as to who needed to be contacted, but I don't know if the information came back to the cathedral. So in that sense, it may not have been working well.
What I like about
The confidentiality was kind of an issue too. It was a need-to-know basis as much as possible, but it was a bit leaky. So, I thought the new one, Lisa and you were gonna access, and then just kind of tell individual people what needed to be done. Is that?
we can add as many users as we want to Notebird. So currently right now, it is only staff who access it, but that's based upon the feedback we got from the pastoral care team leaders that they didn't want to be on this new on the new system. So for example, Sally, if you go and deliver flowers, like they're the flower delivery crew, lets Lisa know who they've delivered flowers to and what the outcome is, like what what the information, if there's any information that was gathered from that visit that we need to know in terms of pastoral care. She puts it on Notebird, and then I can see it, I see it, Emma sees it,
Well, she receives.
and then when Thomas gets here, Thomas will see it. Yeah,
Lisa.
she does, and she puts it on Notebird for all of us to see. Yeah, and then my understanding from, I wish Lisa were here, but she's doing something to help me for this morning, so I apologize. What I understand that happens in terms of lay Eucharistic minister visits and, you know, other ways of communicating with people is that Lisa's the one requesting the folks to go visit the people that we are able to be in touch with who would like to have visits. I think in terms of note writing, card writing, which is I think something that was really well done around here. I don't know why that stopped. I don't know if you all used to get the card writers used to get information from us.
We used to get information, now we don't.
Yeah.
So what would
That printout
We got.
the printout from the database?
that each committee was given, if you watch the Academy 25 committee at the first of the month, everybody got a printout with the parishioner's name and what their status was and what their needs were, and then you said, okay, I'll send card, phone call, visit,
And then they responded back.
you know, so we all said, checked off what we would be able to do.
That's right.
And we learned you would appreciate a note rather than a phone call.
Yeah.
And who really likes a phone call?
Yeah.
I mean,
And if somebody had surgery, it was noted
And
what
so
they had,
then
when
we
they
would
had,
do
and how they were
the 3 or
feeling.
4 things, we only had to do 3 or 4 things.
Were the cards supplied to you, or you used your own cards?
Just bought cards, yeah,
You could use the cathedral cards.
and you can use those.
Yeah.
Yeah.
that's-
Anyway, after we had accomplished our 3 or 4 things that we had signed up to do,
Cards,
we sent the
phone
results.
calls.
Whatever we decided to do.
Okay.
And
We
we
would
had
send the
somebody
result,
that
yeah.
liked to go
That, yes, I visited,
mean.
yada yada, less than a day, and found her cheerful, found her, not so cheerful,
Right.
whatever. And that just went back, I guess, for us, I'm not sure, it went, you know, we replied.
I don't know, yeah.
Well, there was a little form online that we fill out, telling them what we did and how it worked, or if it didn't.
I still have.
And then Lisa talked about having at least 2 people per visit, so no one goes to the house alone.
Like that's really key. 2 people per visit in terms of
And I
like,
think that's better. I'm all for it.
I think in terms of safeguarding, we have to
Right.
protecting our volunteers and protecting the people that are going to visit. Yeah, that's really important.
Well, I didn't know that huge can of worms.
But no, Jean, I think that's really helpful because it sounds
But
like
it's been on
there's
everybody's mind.
it sounds like there's a lot of energy around the card writing and the phone calls,
And
and I
here's-
think Greg needs to hear that because yeah.
I can tell you where, here's what Lisa actually did say. in
Oh,
her
great,
Sutherland's
thank
report.
you.
She shared that there are a lot of changes happening with pastoral care, and we need to be attuned to the way change comes about. It can be sudden and intense. It can involve our health catastrophe. We need to remember that, and keep in mind that you never really know what others may be going through or dealing with. True enough. So, like I said, it sounded vague to me, and I just
Yeah,
wanted
I
to
didn't
ask
know.
this morning.
So that report is very specific, I think,
And it's
to
a month old.
well, month old, but I think it's specific to in April. We had, Vicki Hansen got ill pretty quickly and transitioned very quickly from. I mean, she was up here. I had a conversation with her, and then 3 weeks later, she was gone. So I think Lisa feels a lot of those things a lot closer than any of the rest of us on our staff because she is doing pastoral care. She's with those folks. So I think that may have been
What the sudden thing is
Yeah.
all about. Okay, makes sense.
But Jean, the note you sent me was so appreciated, the card, because
Yeah.
I was just going, I look like a blimp, I feel like a blimp, I am sick and tired of this, and then there's your card, and it just picked me up.
I'm glad.
But,
You never know when something like that, just the right one.
I figured they're gonna put Goodyear
Yeah,
on my
the
back
people
anymore.
that took, like
I
we
think
had,
sometimes people are hesitant to ask,
listen, who was it?
or to tell the priest that they'd like a home visit.
In our
An
group, who was it
invitation needs to
that
be
took communion?
extended, how are you doing? make it easy for people to say, yeah, that would be nice.
Well, I don't know how it wasn't last year before, but one year we sent out about 250 flowers every year. And we would put that in written, you know, when we were on the teams and stuff. I don't know.
Now it's just emails.
Yeah.
I guess maybe Lisa reads the email that puts it in the newspaper.
It looks like with Greg and, what you say, Dickie's?
Marcy,
Marcy?
Whalen.
That, hopefully a lot of this is gonna be farmed up.
Well, and so I guess the other thing I would like to say is, if you need permission from the staff to send cards to one another, like permission grant. But I don't think you need that. I think y'all are pretty capable and caring without needing us to
They're
do
missing
that.
for a few
We need
weeks.
to know who they are.
So I think if, let me empower you all to say, don't hesitate to let me know. I mean, I can't speak for Lisa, but don't hesitate to let me know that, hey, I haven't seen, I mean, Scott Gordon is one I think about a lot. You know, I haven't seen, there's a few other people that I can think of that we haven't seen in a long, long time.
And then I hear they're gonna go to the 8 o'clock service.
Well, and I would also say that please remember that I came in COVID. And so I'm still meeting people for the first time. So if you're waiting for me to notice that so-and-so has not been around for a while, I may not know that because I may not have ever met them, right? Or maybe they come 3 times a year. And one of the things COVID has done to me personally that is very frustrating is I used to really be able, I'd meet you once, Kramer Dara, got it. And I'd see him at the grocery store. And this is a kind of a curse because I'd pay my electric bill in person and I would meet Susie behind the counter and then I'd see her at the grocery store. And I'd say, oh, Susie, it's so good to see you. I didn't know why I remembered her. I just knew I remembered her. And then she thought I was crazy because she'd never met me before because she sees 300 people in a day paying an electric bill in person. And I've lost that skill. And it's really hard for me because I used to meet someone once and then I would notice when they weren't around and then would reach out to them. But now
That part of brain takes exercise.
So have we ever given any thought to community of hope? Has that ever even been on the radar?
I feel like it came up not long after Russ left. But again, I think that was so close to COVID. Maybe we never did anything.
Well, I wasn't even aware of community of hope until I went to their workshop out at Pulaski Heights Methodist, and the only reason I went is because our bishop was the keynote speaker. And
Bishop Harmon?
Yes. And he did a wonderful job. And there were about 150 people in attendance at that workshop. And I think I was the only Episcopalian in the room besides him.
Well, that's surprising.
No, that's not true because there was a St. Margaret.
St. Mark's.
I can't remember his name, but the fellow from St. Margaret's was sitting next to me. And afterwards, everybody in that room said, oh, "You're a bishop." Oh, you know, they writing about it. So it was interesting. But moreover, Community of Hope has such a broad scope, and I don't fully understand all the intricate details about it. Find out soon.
I don't know anything about Community of Hope. I had never been exposed to it until I came to this diocese. Joanna Seibert, yeah. Joanna Seibert does direct Community of Hope at St. Mark's, I think. Yeah, and so she's done trainings, and she's done a training here for Community of Hope since I've been here, but not necessarily for cathedral people. It's like a diocesan training. So certainly we have the capacity to learn more about it and to discern if that's
Well, I don't
something
think
we
that
want to do.
it would substitute for pastoral care,
Sure.
but it could sure, I don't know, dovetail with it. If we chose that path, I don't know. You know, I'm a Reformed Methodist. Social holiness is sort of what's
Those are great questions.
I have a question. I'm sorry I came in late. Did I miss the discussion about having breakfast maybe once a month?
No, we've not talked about that at all.
Well, when we were new to the cathedral, you know, we met people sitting down and talking around the breakfast table. And it's always great to have a speaker, but that's not even necessary. It's a fellowship thing. I don't know. Would y'all come?
You
Oh, yeah.
bet.
When was
It
it?
could be real simple. It could be potluck.
What time in the morning was it?
It was between the services.
Between
Yeah.
the services. Yeah.
Every Sunday.
Was it even in the summer? Every Sunday. Was it even in the summer? Like, what I mean by summer is June to August.
And then, you know, every Sunday would be a big change at this point.
Yeah.
But if we could do it once a month, I think people would come.
Yeah.
Yeah, this room is pretty much full.
And we had a very nice spread.
Which it doesn't have to be that elaborate. It was very nice, yes, but.
Okay.
Find an occasion to.
Food always
try
brings
one.
people together. Right?
I mean, I like it.
And maybe summer's not the time to start.
Maybe fall.
But announce ahead and have one.
Well, the picnic, it was,
Well, as far as
Very
the
good.
cost of that, I think we should charge for it. I mean, if you stopped at Waffle House, you'd pay $5 for coffee, so,
That's what they did.
yeah.
It's like $5 per person.
Yeah, at one point there was a basket for donations.
Right.
Another point you bought a book of tickets.
yeah.
Yeah.
But just come up with a method to recoup the cost of it.
Yeah.
'Cause I don't think that we should pay the fee ourselves. I mean, the cathedral should pay for its charity.
See,
You can't
two of us could put on some holidays and those.
And I don't know the $5 or whatever it is, but, you know, just a thought.
Yeah, that's a great thought. It solves mine. To make sure I get something to eat.
Pay up.
What else? Is there anything else? I'm trying to think if I have anything else that's on my mind.
I guess back to pastoral care.
Yes, ma'am.
I would like to see Eucharistic visits again.
Do you mean take them or receive them or both?
I did a lot of that. And I started to say I still have a bag from before you were here. When we were
Do
doing.
you
all
have a
this.
sense, or does anyone here have a sense that there are people who would like to be receiving Eucharistic visits that aren't currently getting them?
Yes,
You do.
yes.
And have you given those names to Lisa? Or to me?
Once in a while I mention it to Lisa when I deliver flowers and I'll say something in email.
And sometimes we would go with a group, sometimes Russ and I would go together. We usually did 2 people. That was before things got so nervous about individuals. I did a lot of individual ones with people that maybe I'd been once with Russ and then they knew me, so I'd go back. But I
And are those people that you used to visit, are they still around?
probably some are, some aren't. You know, again, it's been since 4 or 5 years now. But I think I still have a form that we filled out. And we did them.
The reason I'm asking those questions is I'm trying to discern, for my own benefit, how much of the grief around the loss of being a Eucharistic visitor is because we're not reaching people who need Eucharistic visits, right? And so that's an organizational thing, right? That's a solvable problem. I don't like using that phrase to talk about this. That's a solvable need, something we can easily respond to. And how much of the grief and the change around making Eucharistic visits is related to the real loss experienced since COVID over the last 4 to 5 years. And that loss being experienced in a multitude of ways. One, people have died and are no longer with us, or they've moved, or their care has changed. They've gone from living alone to being a Presbyterian village, for example.
Or they've gone from coming together to church together to one staying home to care for the other.
Could be.
Yeah.
There's a variety there's any number of changes there. And then, and so if you, all of those things come together and we truly have less people, and then the isolation, people not wanting people in their homes. Not even just the one person coming by themselves, but 2 people coming. And the way our isolation in the midst of and post-COVID is really impacting, mental health and what people will accept or won't accept. And so then the way that gets experienced for us who are here in community is a sense that, well, we're not making as many Eucharistic visits as we used to. Something must be wrong on our end because we're not doing them. But perhaps it's the coming together of all those situations, right?
And I think you and Lisa are doing more than me. I mean, Russ did.
I think that is, I don't know that that's true, Linda.
Yeah,
because
I honestly don't know.
I'll use
Other
an-
than watching kids sometimes.
I'll use an example. There's a gentleman in our parish who I think used to have a Eucharistic visit every week. I've been trying to visit him for 4 years. He says, yes, I want you to come visit. And then the day comes and he doesn't feel well. He doesn't want me to come. He's not the only one, and I'm not the only one experiencing that, and he's not the only one who is doing that. And so I can hear, well, you and Lisa are doing all these visits. That's not necessarily true either. If we are missing someone, I want to know that. If there is someone, who we feel we are not in enough contact with, I want to know about that, and I want to personally contact them myself. Well, and and it is possible that we are reaching out to those people, and they are not responding or they don't want to visit, maybe because they don't know me. I'll give you another example. There's another couple in the parish who I came during COVID. They were close with Russ, and I would say about every 3 months, I have a communication with them. I see them out in public, out to dinner, whatever. So good to see you. Gosh, I'd love to bring you communion. We're so sorry we don't see you at church on Sunday. What can we do to support you? Oh yeah, we would love for you to visit. Come next Wednesday. Great. And then Wednesday comes around and I call them in the morning to say, I'm looking forward to seeing you at 11 o'clock today, and please don't come today. Today's not a good day. And now the people who are close in their circle, I've spoken to them to make sure that, and some of it is because they don't know me. And I may be the dean of the cathedral, but I'm not Russ Now, or I'm not Stuart Hope, or I'm not Joel Pugh. And so they don't really want me to come visit either. So it feels vulnerable to me to talk about that so publicly, because I don't take that personally. Even if it is personal, I don't take it personally, because they have the right to discern who they would like in their home. And if they would like someone else to bring them communion, I will happily empower those people to get them communion. But that also has not been communicated to me either.
Don't you think part of this is because we were so isolated and we got used to it? And it's, for some people, it's really hard to reach out again, because I'm very comfortable where I live.
We did that from an organizational standpoint, which is minimal what we're talking about. But we would meet, originally the teams that were going to serve, like even we would meet as a group with the priest, and it was, you know, and so you knew you were on the team, and you just, how people that serve today, they just people that say they want to do it. I mean, and you want
Yeah,
to
that's
do
a question for Lisa. I don't know how she organizes her.
I think the bottom line is, before, it was an organized routine almost. Like I said, the team, when the time came for the team, Dean Russ would sit with us, go over the list. Everybody got a printed copy of the list. The team captain, or whatever you call them, they got a different list that showed maybe more detail than what the other people that were on that group. But everybody in that group knew what was going on in terms of what they were going to do, report back what they did, so it was an organized thing. At this here, it's just like, okay, you ask, do you know if somebody needs to be there? That the person in charge would have known somebody that needs to be added to
Well,
it or not.
kind of separating two, I think, two distinct things. To me, they're distinct. Routine pastoral care, which is the cards, the notes, the flowers, the little touches, and then holy orders, practically. Holy Eucharist is a separate category, and so.
On the
Well,
team,
well, on the team-
sometimes it was clergy visit.
Well, on the
And we
team,
had scheduling problems a little bit, but I don't remember anybody ever saying, no, thank you. And I was stranger to them many times. I had not met them before. And now they're friends.
And you know, one thing that I like is that when you're gonna serve the people that are gonna serve, they're at the altar, they receive the kit, and they are blessed. So that there's a
It's a
blessing
separate category.
that goes
That's powerful.
with the communion to the people.
yeah, but
I like that.
our team had two, that I think they're going to sing. Who, I can't remember their name. Anyway, we had different people that liked to do different things in our group. Two of them had communion. Some of them wanted like to send cards. Somebody like myself wanted to do the telephone call. And each person decided on who was going to do what at that particular meeting, and then they reported back. And if somebody said, well, the person doesn't really want anybody to come, it was noted, and somebody didn't
We're
come.
talking about the communion, that you're talking to the, I mean, the
It's two
communion,
separate
yeah, you're talking.
Yeah,
I'm
but
not against it, but the communion functions separately from.
So I think part of what I hear is some anxiety around, and I could be wrong, so please correct me if I'm wrong, anxiety around organized pastoral care teams, the appearance of organized pastoral care teams who wrote cards, took flowers, made phone calls, and were very directed in that way. Like, here's your list, here are the people, into a system where the change being now, what is our culture of pastoral care in the parish in terms of how, as a parish, we remain in contact with one another? Because I'm not getting my list of people that I want, that from the clergy telling me who to be in touch with. So who's missing in that change, right? Who's gotten lost? Who's not getting contacts because we no longer have our list of people who we knew somebody was thinking about and directing us to be in touch with them. Is that it? I'm trying to understand for myself. I'm a slow processor, y'all, so it's gonna.
Along those lines, I have it's a staple that I have an accounting of every member that is connected to this church. And I go through there and they don't ever come here again. I haven't seen them in years. You know, I don't really know.
Do you communicate that outside of yourself, Carolyn, to anyone? That
Well,
list?
I'm probably not, because half of the thing would probably be, I need to talk to somebody, like a priest or somebody like that.
You could bring that
I
list to
mean,
me anytime you want.
I don't know, yeah,
Missy's behind.
I bet there's 1,000 names in that book. No, it's not a book, you know.
Good
And when I
point.
would go through and seek addresses for flowers and blah, 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 and I would thought, well, they haven't been here in years. And Peter talked to a couple this past week whose father passed away, and their members here. Well, they don't really come here anymore. They're off in Hot Springs. So see, you've got active people, you've got inactive people, and you've got people that have stayed on the list, but they're out there in the world somewhere.
It reminds me of what Chris Keller said years ago. He said, we're trying to clean up the rolls. We've got people running around here that think they're members of the cathedral have never been baptized.
Well, I know
I
how you
gotta go
get
get
on
ready
the
for
roll.
church.
I know how you get on the roll. I don't know how you get off the roll.
We've got an 8-minute.
Mafia, get off.
We have an 8-minute procession, so I gotta go make sure our acolytes have what they need. Carolyn, I don't know what to say other than if you wanna download some of that information into me, my door is always open to anyone.
Now, I
here.
will send you an email. Some of the people I'm thinking of who would appreciate a Eucharistic visit, I know that through flower delivery.
Sure.
And I think Lisa has input on that too,
Yeah.
what's going on.
Oh, well.
Good discussion.
Thanks,
Pretty
y'all.
soon I'll be able to